guys or the first few guys in the company, the core team as you would call it, the first 5-10 guys who joined you to go and sell, compensation is, even for these 10 guys or 15 guys, not so important, because they typically would be more driven about the company. And I strongly believe that till you have like, if you're an enterprise, till you have probably like 10 customers, or if you're an SME, till you have like 40, 50 customers, these group of people should sell. You shouldn't go and get direct sales guys, or sales guys who are, in the market, because your product is probably not ready enough to like actually be sold like, cookie cutter by sales guys. Now, once you get to that stage where, you're beyond the 40 in SME or, 10 in enterprise, is the right time to start getting, full-time, professional sales guys. And sales works, you want to drive a very, very hungry behavior in sales. Simply because, that's the place where you probably hear the most number of no's. You knock on so many doors, and if you have like a 20% conversion rate, you're a god. You're the best sales guy there. Yeah. So, and that's for one reason why you would, you'd really do like at least what we've seen to work well for us in markets outside India is a 50-50. With 50-50 as in 50% of the compensation is actually variable. And in India, it's like 30% of the compensation is variable. Now, if you look at that with typical engineering or delivery or analytics jobs, it's never more than 8 to 10%, which is linked to a variable. So it is very different. Yeah. Sales compensation is very different between a normal employee to a sales guy. And the reason for that is you want the guy to keep knocking on more doors. The way it has to be structured is there should be a very big upside to, winning more deals, while, he should be able to make his money for, at least a small base, on the salary side.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So, Lakshmi, I was actually going, the biggest challenge once you know that the sales compensation plan, has to be different from any other compensation plan, right? The challenge actually comes to that, okay, what should the structure? As Anish said, it should be, should it be purely a fixed salary, or should it be a fixed and a variable salary, or purely maybe only commission-based structure and nothing else? It can be lots of other things which you can put on the top of that. But there's a lot of debate. I was going through a lot of articles on Google also, and actually there was the debate that by putting in so much stress on the commissions, are we actually making sales guys as machines and actually trying to make everything look too materialistic and not treating them as employees? So how good or bad it is, or to have a structure which is, more towards commission? And is it the discussion of having a commission-based structure, is it obsolete or it is relevant in today's world?
No, it's very much relevant because most sales guy get, they are very, very kicked about commissions, and earning money is something which will always motivate a salesperson. Having said that, if a company is going to depend most of its compensation on commissions, it's like a catch-22 situation, because every salesperson in his life will go through highs and lows. It's not that, I have not seen a single salesperson who's not gone through a low in his life. So what happens at this stage is, if the compensation is more towards commissions, and when you're at a low, it is very difficult for you to pay your bills. Yeah. It's going to be difficult for you to, do
pay the regular
things,
stuff, right.
Meet your expenses.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you have a balanced kind of a compensation, where you look at probably a 70%, 80% as a base salary, and probably 20-30% as a variable. And it should be clearly defined as, it should be performance based.
Okay.
It should definitely be performance based, so that a large chunk of this particular compensation is taken away by the sales guys.
Okay. So Lakshmi, you said it has to be performance based, which essentially means that we cannot just go by whims and fancies that, okay, I like your face and I give you more commission, and I don't like your face and I give you less commission. That is something which is the depth of the entire structure. So essentially what we're talking about is having a very elaborate and a very defined, transparent system of what are the parameters on which I'm going to measure the sales guys. And then I have a very robust system of measuring against those parameters, so that those guys know that we are being measured in the right way. If I'm doing good, I'm getting good. If I'm doing less, I'm getting less. So Anish, coming to you, what should be these parameters? Performance is a generic word, but when we are talking about sales compensation and linking the variable to the performance, what are the parameters of performance you think we should actually take into this plan against which we should measure the sales guys?
Right, so I think there are largely two parts to it. One is if, the sales guy is actually more an individual contributor, and the second is at a managerial level. Again, given that there are a lot of startups here, there are different stages at which you want to compensate differently. So when you're opening a new geo, or when you're, opening a new vertical, you obviously can't compensate on a percentage of, commission. It has to be on number of logos. It has to be on how many doors has he been able to open for you.
Okay.
Right. So similarly, it also, I'd say, at an early stage, the right thing to do is not compensate as a percentage of revenue, but compensate more on opening doors. Once you're at a more mature stage, you have like 5-6 customers in that market, 2-3 of them are referenceable. At that stage, you want to get to a stage of actually moving it to, 2-3 main things, like, you either go with revenue or you go with margin.
Yeah.
If you are a high margin business, then you say a percentage of revenue from that client. If you are a low margin business, then you say a percentage of margin. That could be one metric. The second could be like the product mix. Like as a company, we know that some of our products are more sticky than the others.
Yep.
So we hence say, at least 40% of revenue must come from, these products, and 20% of the commission is linked to that. So some people do that on higher margin products, having, the share there. So that's for the individual sales guys. For more of a sales manager, it would probably be on how well do the guys do.
Yeah.
If you have 3 sales guys, we typically look at about, if the 3 guys hit 80% of their targets, then this guy gets 100% of his commission.
Yeah.
And that could be one metric. Another metric could be, marketing link. How many, are you able to get, build a good pipeline, feed a good pipeline. But generally, what I've seen is that, if it is aggressive sales guys, they will want a larger commission. They will, if it's good sales guys, they will fight for their commission.
Yeah.
And so in some cases where we've actually wanted to really hire the guy, we've also given them like, 2 quarters of commission guarantee.
Okay.
So just build a pipe and you have your commission.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So okay. So Anish, you touched upon, a little bit about, in the countries out, in West possibly, you can have as high as 50%, salary being into commission mode, which is linked to the performance, and 50% only is something which is fixed, right? And while in India, possibly culturally, we are attuned to having a much more fixed salary and less of commission-based salary. So according to you, Lakshmi, coming to you, according to you, what is the prevalent practice in India as of now, and what, according to you, should be the ratio between the fixed salary and the commission percentage?
Yeah, see, in India, it's a little more traditional, where people would want a higher fixed salary than the compensation being more towards the commissions.
Yeah.
So typically, I think a balance could be at 70-30 or an 80-20 would be an ideal ratio. And touching upon what Anish said, collections also should be one important thing on which the salesperson should be incented on. So you could look at 70-30.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I have a slightly different view on that.
Yeah.
I think internationally 50-50 is a norm. And if someone wants like a lower variable, then I think you shouldn't hire the guy. At least that's my view on it. So the other side is I would actually not link collections to the sales guy, especially in a SaaS kind of a business where you have to collect every month or every quarter or something like that. Because you want your sales guys to be focused on selling. You can at max say the first check has to come from them, which is the typical case with a license sale. But in a SaaS sale where you have to collect every month or every quarter, you typically want your, your account managers, who are not really sales guys, they're more farmers, to do the collection piece. So, yeah.
Yeah, and just to add on this, and just sharing my own experience, that while you have like a product sale where when you're making the sell, you actually are making the delivery as well, and you are actually collecting also, which is sort of assured. And when you are making a SaaS sell, again, the service is available online. Once you have sort of delivered the service, the job to do is actually collections. But when you are actually getting into enterprise solutioning, there's also a big difference between the time when you sell and the time when you have delivered the service. There's a phase of 2 or 3 months when you customize the entire offering and then they deliver. And what we have seen is purely my own personal experience, that whether the sell you have done, whether that is a clean sell, that is it executable or was it just an order book which was never converted into revenue? That also sometimes is a factor which need to be considered when we are actually making a, the sales commission plan. You cannot just compensate a sales guy only on order book and order book which cannot be executed and actually getting a cash to the company. Fantastic, great. So, Anish, I think you have touched upon this, that culturally you are saying that it is more in the US and the, I would say the developed parts of the world, it will be more 50-50, and while in India you are saying it will be more conservative towards 80-20 or 70-30. That's what exactly you would like to have the commission structure to be. Okay. So now coming back to my previous question, what are the possible risks of I would say having a very, very high component of commission? I'm actually sort of countering Anish now, right? That you are saying it has to be 50-50, and if you don't have 50-50 in your variable pay, basically you should not hire the sales guy. Is there a risk into this approach? Can it actually, instead of doing good to the company and getting more dollars to the company, actually can backfire and resulting into rather demotivation of sales guys and actually leading to their exit? So,
yeah, the whole incentive scheme, can actually even turn into a lax. It depends on successful people may become complacent, and they may be, while they may be very highly motivated, but then there is a tendency to get complacent. And then the reverse is also true. People who are not as successful will tend to become highly demotivated. So it's very important that a reporting manager looks at appraisal systems. There is going to be reviews and feedbacks such that, the sales team is always highly motivated. So that's very, very important. So if you have a very high component, which is going to be, let's say you go with a very high component which is going to be commission based.
Yeah.
It is the duty of the manager to ensure that the motivation levels are on.
Okay.
Such that you get the maximum output from your sales team.
So essentially defining the framework of commissions and then calculating and just paying them month on month is not the only thing to do. That is possibly the basic framework. But then based on the results of that framework, it's the manager's duty to make sure that while the star performers are always, on the run and they are getting their dollars, but the laggards are also being constantly, being given the necessary leadership. And I would say, yeah, Anish.
Again, I have a very different view on it.
Okay.
So I mean, if the guy's not delivered for 6 months, if he's not making his commission, might as well let him go. He'll find something else to do somewhere.
Okay.
So I think what needs to be clear on a sales commission is you have to make sure that it is achievable.
Okay.
If you are an early stage company and want a cost of sale of 20% and want that guy to sell like 100K, that won't work. Because you might get a good guy, but that guy will realize in 6 months that this is not working out for him and he'll move.
Yeah.
So as long as your structure is right, is something which, can actually be delivered to, as long as, and we've actually in the past gone back and corrected our commission structures. We felt we were very aggressive for the first year.
Yes.
We've actually, 4 months down gone in and said this market is going to take longer.
Yes.
Correct it.
Yes.
So your sales guys need to be extremely motivated.
Yes.
And that's extremely key. And if they're not delivering even after you have like a good structure in place, then you should let them go. Because what I've generally seen in at least my past experiences, you have every sales guy sells himself very well. So when you're hiring, it's extremely difficult.
But that's a part of the
say,
job, right?
Who's going to click and who's not going to click, right? So, hence you give them a period of like 6 to 9 months, see if it works. And we've actually got very good guys from an Oracle who have not been able to work for us, but have worked everywhere else. So nothing against the guy. There are a lot of stuff that needs to click for it to work. So it's sometimes better to actually let them go. If they're not making their commissions after 6 or 9 months, they'll actually find a better job else and they'll be more happier.
Yeah.
So,
but Anish, just a connected question to this. In any company, and I would like to just ask you if that is your experience as well. That if let's say you have a X number of sales guys, maybe 10 sales guys, you will have 2 or 3 star performers, in general, and you will have 2 or 3 guys who are actually laggards and who are not able to just click, right? Possibly they are good, but they're not able to click for your product and your company. And there is a big 4 or 5, sales guys in the middle who are just in the middle. They will just be achieving their numbers, by hook or the crook, they'll achieve their number. So will it be And I think at the end of the day, the company has to take everybody along. Possibly the laggards, you will give them a chance for 3 months or 6 months, and then you let them go. But there's a big middle range as well, and they are the ones who actually become the backbone, who keep on, getting some number into the sea all the time. So do you think that the commission structure should be different for different type of sales guys, because their motivations, like the star performer would always like to have more and more incentives, and that is what kicks him to sell more and more, while the middle guy will be happy if his quarterly bonus or the quarterly 100% or 90% of the variable CTC is received by him on a quarterly basis. He's fine, his EMIs are secured, So according to you, should the structure be different for different type of sales guys?
I don't think so. I really think it largely has to be similar. At least 70-80% of the structure has to be similar, unless, you have a sales guy who you're expecting to do 70% sales and 30%, account management, or, generally keeping in touch with the accounts, stuff like that.
Okay.
But I strongly believe that, unless, if it's people at the same level, if it's individual sales folks in one geography which is equally mature, or in one vertical which is equally mature, you should have very similar sales structures, compensation or commission structures across, because whether you like it or not, very quickly, people get to know that, that guy is getting a 9% of the deal size, I'm getting only a 6% of deal size. And, until you have like really clear reasons for it, that's a big discussion point. That's a big reason why people get demotivated.
Yes.
So
So you
Yes.
will be giving the message
Yes.
that it's okay that it's okay if you're not doing well.
correct.
Okay.
Because if all of them are in the same, if all of them are peers,
Yes.
and if you're okay with some people doing very well and okay with a few of them not doing well,
Yes.
you're going to give a wrong message to the sales team. So
Okay.
it cannot be like that.
Okay. So essentially the whole system has to be very, very transparent. If somebody is doing good, let him become hero in front of everybody, and if somebody is not doing good, let him become zero in front of everybody else. Possibly the social pressure will kick in and let everybody,
And also you can
work there.
try out some different kind of workshops
Okay.
so that you improve the skill sets of the others. But you can't have a demarcation if
Okay.
they're all at the same level.
Okay. So other than on different notes, so sales compensation is obviously the key parameter, and which actually forms the basis of keeping our sales guys happy. But is there something more than the sales compensation, the salary or the money part of it? Sometimes, the award or a pat on the back or a letter from the CEO, sometimes those things actually click more, especially the guys who are high performers. So what, according to you, Lakshmi, are many other things which companies can do, to keep the sales guys happy, other than just having a good sales compensation plan?
Yeah, one thing which is very important is absolutely no favoritism in
Yeah.
the team, and deterrents like a bad product or a bad solution, a bad atmosphere at the office, unethical practices, and no belief in the sales team. So these are some of the deterrents which you'll have to take care. And recognition is very, very important for a salesperson.
Okay.
If they are doing well, they have to be recognized. So probably, like you said, a mail from a CEO declaring the employee of the month, or sponsor them for some workshops, foreign holiday, things like this will definitely motivate a sales team.
Okay.
Apart from the salary and the incentives, what
Okay.
they are compensated
Okay.
for.
Okay.
So these things are very, very important.
Okay.
That you give them a very good atmosphere, you give them the independence to work, you allow them to take decisions. These are some of the things which a salesperson would definitely want apart
Absolutely.
from the salary.
Absolutely. So, Anish, one I think question which is very, very relevant to the audience which is sitting here, who are in the startups, and and someday they are looking for some M&A activity of acquisition or going for an IPO. So essentially, ESOP is a one big tool which is used by startups, especially the startups on the growth trajectory, to show a big moolah, maybe 5 years down the line, right, for the company. So according to you, is ESOP a good tool to compensate sales guys and show them some dreams and retain them based on that?
Absolutely. I think, it's very important to, have your sales guys for you for a longer time, especially in an enterprise sales scenario where, it takes 6 months for the guy to get his first deal or build a pipe or stuff like that. So we've at least, especially in international markets where ESOPs have a value. In India, people don't regard ESOPs too much. But we've seen that to be a major motivation factor for good people to stick around. You know, as they see the company grow, they know the value of the company is growing, they know that they have stock in it, the stock value is growing. So that is a large variation. So we actually have a performance-linked ESOP thing for sales guys. You know, and I think that's a good thing to do.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent,
So-
excellent. Yeah, again sharing my own views that my company actually was a PE funded company till last year and finally got acquired by a global major last year. And the same ESOP, and I used to hear, 3 years back, 4 years back, okay, I have a piece of paper which is ESOP and I don't know what value this paper carries, but last year when actually that acquisition happened and when the same ESOP becomes almost, for some people actually it was 10 times the money which that paper was for, what was written in the paper. So everybody suddenly knew what was the worth of that paper. So for this community of startups and founders, I think it's very, very important that if your company in the growth phase, that you actually educate the sales guys about the value of that ESOP. And that ESOP tool can actually be used to hire some very potential good people from larger companies who you think are important for you, because they can make much, much more money compared to what they would traditionally make in a salary-driven organization. So thank you very much. I think we had only 30 minutes of time and we are running short of time. So just to summarize, we talked about that, for a company where we want to have a big top line, we want to have a big bottom line, especially in the growth phase, we want to depend on sales guys to make sure the product goes into different customer segments. And it is very, very important that our sales guys are happy. They are getting you more and more logos. They are getting into upselling, cross-selling, all the time running into the field to get you business. And that is why how to compensate the sales guy becomes very important. One key thing, a learning of all of us, whatever plan we make has to be quantitative, has to be very transparent, has to be communicated to sales guy all the time. And yes, as Anish said, it has to be changed. It need not be static. Every quarter, please review it. And if you think it's not working, let's change the thing next quarter and then see what clicks. And over a period of time, you will reach a maturity cycle. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you very much.
To summarize everything and then share the knowledge. But we have hashtags, we have your feedback would be very, very much important for us. So now the next session would be selling for engineers.